And a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to today's United Kingdom talk here on United Kingdom Radio. I just turned myself up a little bit there. I'm a bit quiet. Is that better? Can you hear me all right now? It's coming a little bit quiet there. Hello, a warm welcome along to you, boys and girls. And in front of me, I have a birthday cake. I have a birthday cake in front of me today. You may want to watch as well as listen to the show if you're with us on Saturday afternoon, the 2nd of October 2010, and it's just gone 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You are indeed with us live, boys and girls. Hang on, let me just turn the tune on. There we are. There it is. Oh, wonderful. Can you hear that? Ha ha ha. Now, to see this cake, you may want to watch the show. You can watch as well as listen to this show, and you can find it by going to unitedkingdomradio.co.uk and click the Watch Now button, okay? You can watch or listen to this show, entirely up to you. But if you want to have a quick look at the birthday cake, because I'm about to blow out the candles before they go down even further and set the entire house alight, which is a definite possibility today, I think. Yes, they're going down very, very quickly there. I've got one of those candles, and it's got the little birthday tune on it. You just twist it. Listen to this. Oh. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, dear United Kingdom Talk. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, dear United Kingdom Radio Talk. Happy birthday to us. Oh, it just go on and on. Just a minute. And I'm getting a bit concerned now because the candles are actually starting to fall down. And we don't want the entire place to go up in smoke. We don't have no intention today of ringing the fire brigade, boys and girls. I shall hold my candles carefully and my cake and blow them out immediately. There we are. Oh, I've got a little birthday cake. Yes, boys and girls, United Kingdom Talk is 5 years old yesterday. It's actually a little bit older than that, but looking through the podcasts that have been archived at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, that says 1st of October was the first show I did. So I'm celebrating the 5-year today. It's a little bit longer than that, but not much. Yes, look at this little candle here. It's got a plastic bottom. Right, how much was this? About £1.59. And you just turn it. Can you just imagine how annoying that would be after half an hour? I mean, why people are just a little bit like those Christmas lights? You know, those Christmas lights you can buy that constantly have a tune going, doesn't it? 24 hours a day. Oh, dear, that does my brain in. The tune. Christmas carols. I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if they actually sounded nice, but they don't, do they? It's all like that. It's all tunes like that. Why can't they have... I mean, if I had the money at Christmas time, boys and girls, I would have an entire orchestra gathered in my living room at 9 o'clock, and I would wake up to Christmas carols, possibly played by the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. Now you're talking, dear. None of this little tweet, 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 tweet. Anyway, I shall save that and reuse it, along with the half-burnt candles. Yes! Don't waste things. I keep telling you, don't waste things. And now, you know, it's such a shame, boys and girls. It's such a shame there's no one here to share my little birthday cake with me. It really is a shame. So I'm now going to have a little bite of this with my cup of tea. I mean, it's only a small cake. It's like a one person. Well, I say one person. You probably get about 4 portions out of this. But in my case, it's a one-person piece of cake. Unfortunately, I haven't come up the stairs with a knife or anything like that, so I'm going to have to bite directly into the cake. Red icing, there are so many E numbers in this. The police would probably prosecute me for having drugs in the car. I really would. Oh, this is lovely. I've only had the icing so far. Let me have a bit of cake. Actually, it's a bit dry, I think. Oh. Now, as you know, I'm not usually one that eats while he's doing a show. I find that rude and offensive. However, today I am. And that's it. Half gone. Absolutely delicious. So happy birthday to me. Okay, doke. If you want to join in at any time. Oh, let me just swallow this. Oh, I don't know if I should. Oh dear. I don't know if I should just stop the show now and finish the cake because it's delicious. A bit naughty really because I've just had dinner as well. Good morning to, good afternoon to Oscar. Sorry, you know I don't usually eat while I'm doing shows, but there we are. Hello to Oscar, who said it took a big puff to blow those candles out. Thank you very much, Oscar. Yes, it did, but you should know among everyone else that I'm very, very good at blowing things like that out. It only takes a few minutes. I did stop myself buying those ever-sparkling candles. You know, the ones that you blow them out and they come back out on again and they blow that way. It does my brain in, that does. So there we are. If you're with us live, it's 3:10 on Saturday, the 2nd of October 2010. If you're with us live, you can indeed join in by Skype live. Our Skype username is all one word. United Kingdom Radio is the Skype username, and my phone number is a local London number if you want to call in. It's 020 3287 1488. Okay? 020 3287 1488. Well, in 5 years, of course, you've got the email as well. If you're watching a recording or listening to a recording of the show, you can still join in by email. My email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. And so much has happened in these 5 years that I've been doing this show now. What made me start? Well, I've done a couple of music and chat shows. I indeed worked on an AM station in London, going back 10 years now, between 1999 and 2000. It was only there about, it was actually just about a year and a half it was altogether. Liberty Radio, which at that time was owned by Mohammed Al-Fayed, who also owned, again at the time, Harrods. And Liberty Radio it was called, and I did the overnight show there, and it's a funny old thing really. I got into doing that completely accidentally. I'd always done things with audio and DJing and that sort of thing. Indeed, way back in the early 80s, I had a pirate radio station, Southwest Radio. And, yeah, we got done for that, I'm afraid. Completely different, I have to say, to the pirate radio stations that are around now. The one I set up was to do DJing and to entertain people. Now, I kind of wonder who's running some of these pirate radio stations, certainly in London. They all sound very, very dodgy indeed. You know, run by criminals. I do hope you don't think I'm a criminal, boys and girls. Do I look like a criminal? I hope not. I hope I don't look like a criminal. So I did that then. And before that, when I was but 16 years old, I set up a little radio station in my mum's house. Basically, it was a record player in my bedroom, and 2 wires went downstairs and fed a speaker in the living room. That, boys and girls, is how it all started. 63, 73, 83, 80, probably around about 1980, that one. That is really how it all started. A record player in my room, and an extension speaker, which are wider. And you couldn't buy these things then. Now it's all so easy to go and buy an extension speaker and a bit of plug-in wire, and you plug in the extension speaker to your iPod or whatever it is and put the speaker wherever you wanted it to be. But back then, and it's actually, 30 years ago, you couldn't buy something like that. You could buy the record player, but you couldn't get an extension speaker. And I had to make all this myself, and I used to go around jumble sales and things like that, buying up old record players and speakers and things like that, and wiring them all over the place. I then extended from one speaker in the living room to another speaker in the kitchen. We went mad, boys and girls. Mum and Dad, of course, couldn't turn these things off. Oh, they were very, very good, always supported everything I did. And I don't know how they put up with it, to be honest. Why would you want to listen to someone else's music while the television was on? I always remember going down, actually, this is all coming back to me now. I remember going downstairs a couple of times in the living room and indeed the kitchen, only to find the speaker had been turned upside down, so that where the sound comes out would be directed down into a table or something like that. It's true. And then we extended even further, boys and girls. We run a cable out of the house and into my neighbour's house, because we lived in a block of flats, a long block of flats. And there was a house either side. So I extended a wire into my neighbour's house with a speaker, but I'd been a bit clever now, and I found a way of installing a switch in between the speaker and the wires. So the neighbour was actually able to turn it off. And I carried on doing my little radio station. There was no microphone. All I did was play records down these two wires and through people's speakers. And I printed up like a schedule of when I was doing this. So, for example, 3 p.m. Saturday, I would have a show called The Orange Box. I only had 2 shows. There was the Orange Box and the Blue Box. Now, what were these? The Orange Box was an orange box which contained records. And the show basically consisted of me selecting a record from the Orange Box and playing it. That was it. And guess what show was after that? Yes, you're right, the Blue Box. Once again, I selected a record from the Blue Box and played it down these wires to my neighbour. And even though she had a schedule, just after I'd started playing the record, I would go outside her front door and listen. And if I couldn't hear it, I would then ever so gently lift... What was her name? Mrs. Waller. A wonderful lady. She used to look after me when I was a cub. I was a Cub Scout. Cubs, do your best. We will do our best. If I couldn't hear the music, I would then lift her letterbox ever so slightly and put my ear to it and see if I could hear her. And if I couldn't hear any noise, I'd knock on the door or ring the bell. Can't remember what she had now. She had a bell, or it doesn't matter. And she would answer the door if she was in. And I would say, "Oh, hello, Mrs. Waller. Just to let you know, I'm doing my radio now, if you want to switch it on." And she would dutifully go over and switch on the radio. We got a call coming in from Millie. I'll be coming to you in a second, Millie, just after I finish telling the story, okay? All right. So that was that. And then I think we extended, yes, we did. We extended then into the neighbour, the other side of the house. Again, she had a little speaker and she had a switch. And really, that is how it all started for me, radio. After that, I think time passed, a few years, and I met up with a guy called... Oh, no, what was his name? Barry, that was his name, Barry. And he had a pirate FM radio station also in the area I lived in, Roehampton. And I got talking to him. I said, "Oh, no, I've jumped a bit here. No, the next thing I did was I was looking in an electronic shop. Now, a little bit like Maplin's, but this is before Maplin's even existed. And this little electronic shop sold all sorts of little bits and pieces. And I was in there having a look around. I can't remember. I was always looking at electronic things, components or anything like that. I would just look at these little plastic things and be amazed at what they could actually do. They could make sound come out of a radio, for example. And in this shop, they had very, very cheap radio microphones. And these radio microphones, they weren't studio quality or anything like that. They were just like fun things. But you could get a signal to come onto an FM radio with these microphones. Not only that, there was a little screw in the back, and you could adjust the microphone to whatever frequency you want. So I then bought one of these microphones, and I was so excited. I was so excited. I fainted, boys and girls. I rushed home, shoved the battery in, and turned it on. And then I got a radio, got an FM radio, and started playing with that. And sure enough, there it was. There was my voice coming through a radio. So exciting. By this time, also in my little studio, which has now extended to 2 record players and a tape cassette recorder, a Philips. It was a Philips tape cassette recorder. And this was the one with the one single control that you pushed it up to play a track, pulled it back to stop a track, and moved it to the left and right to wind a track back or forward. Okay. That was all hooked up, and I now had a microphone. Okay. And the way the microphone worked was it was plugged in to the cassette recorder. And if you put it on record, your voice would come through the machine and out of the earphones. And that was set up also on my, I say it was a desk. It was actually the top of a chest of drawers all this stuff was set out on. And when I think about it, though, that chest of drawers would have been a wonderful antique now, probably worth a lot of money. But I had used it to set up my studio, and the switches were literally drawing pins and paper clips with all sorts of wires going to them. God knows why I didn't ever electrocute myself. It must have come close a couple of times. So now I had this little radio microphone, and I set up another loudspeaker in my cupboard. I had a cupboard in my bedroom, right? And in front of the of the speaker in the cupboard, I placed my brand new radio microphone, and it had a little wire on it. And I thought, surely if you make that wire long enough, then the signal will go out further. So I attached a very long piece of wire to this radio microphone and literally dropped it out of the window. This is true. I'm not making any of this up. I also selected a point on the radio which was free, and at that time there were only a handful of radio stations. Now you're up and down the radio, you know, there's 30 or 40 channels. At that time I think there were 6 stations. That's all I could pick up, 6 stations. So it was quite easy to find a gap on the radio. And there we were. I was on FM radio, and this little radio microphone, it didn't go miles and miles, but it went a fair old distance. It certainly covered my block of flats and all the other blocks around me. So there was a potential listenership there of quite a few hundred people. And I sort of put on a record. And I remember I thought to myself, I wonder how far this actually goes. So I then took my little portable radio with me, jumped on my pushbike and started cycling around Roehampton. And at ground level, it didn't go too far. But I remember going further than I could, you know, further than the signal went, and it died. And I thought, I wonder what happens if I go up. So I then went into another block of flats, which was 5 minutes cycle away, I suppose. No more than 5 minutes cycle away. Couldn't get it on the ground floor. I went up in the lift to floor 5 and above, and guess what? You could get my little radio station. So, I mean, it was wonderful. Now I had more listeners. It was so exciting. I fainted again. So, went back home and started putting together a little bit more of a schedule. I collared my dad into reading the football scores on a Saturday afternoon. Oh, yes. Another boy came and done a top 20 show, or a top 10 show. I did a couple of shows, and by now I was talking into the microphone and all that business. And my dad also helped out by printing a schedule, because he worked in the printing business. So he took my typed up schedule away with him and came back with a box full of paper, you know, with my schedule. And I literally went round and started posting these through people's letterboxes. So that was that bit. I then bought another one of these radio mics, which gave me a second frequency, because in my mind, if I had one bit of wire dropped out of one at the back of the house and another bit of wire dropped out the front of the house, then that should extend my reach. So I did that, and I now had 2 frequencies. The next stage was I met up with someone who already had a pirate radio station called Parkside Radio. Ran about 1980, 1981 this is. And he had heard my programme and asked me to do a show on his station. And I said, well, I just want to stick to my station at the moment. However, you must have... Do you have a radio mic? No, he said, I build my own transmitters. I thought, here we go. He built me a transmitter. I got myself a car battery. The car battery and a charger ran the transmitter. We put a long air, it's called a dipole aerial. It's basically a stick with 2 bits of metal on it. Connected it to the transmitter on my bedroom, and bang. We were now sending out a signal to about 30, 35, 40 mile radius around my house. I had a station. And more people joined us, and that was it. Now, this was all very illegal. Okay? And we went for a while, and eventually we were closed down by the Department of Trade and Industry. It would have been at the time. But nevertheless, it was great fun. It wasn't doing any damage to anyone else, really. And I was so sad when it came to an end. But, of course, it had to do so. And then there was a big gap. And then I did some temporary radio station called Freedom FM, which was in London years later. I mean, many, must be 10 years later than that. Then internet radio came about. I started a station on Live 365, which is still there. United Kingdom Talk on Live 365. It's still on there, playing out my particular shows. But I'm hoping to change it so it's going to be able to take United Kingdom Radio live. I meant to have a look at that last night. I shall have a look later. Did the Liberty thing, of course, as well. Liberty Day, Freedom Radio, Liberty Radio. That was an AM station in London. Was very, very lucky to get that job. I did the overnight show on there. It was fantastic. I had complete free reign. Basically, get on and do it. Play those records and do what you like in between. Which, you know, on FM radio and AM radio now here in the UK is unheard of. It's all so formatted and all that business, which I don't like. I don't think I could ever do FM radio in this country because of all the rules and regulations. I mean, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. There are people, actually, there's a couple of people who have said this about United Kingdom Radio, that we're now full of rules and regulations, where we're not. We're not full of rules and regulations at all. What we wanted to do, or what I wanted to do, was move the station forward. And it wasn't possible with people swearing on the mic and direct sexual stuff. Don't want any of that on here. Okay? Say what you will. And they were the only 2 rules. And there were people screaming, oh, we don't want to do with rules and regulations. Well, fine, that's fine, go. You know. All I ask is that people don't swear. And people don't do any direct sexual offensive comments. Okay? When I say don't swear, I'm fully aware that occasionally a caller will come up and swear. It's not your fault. That's the way it is. You know? But as long as you move on, if it's in context, you know, well, maybe. I'm sure you know where the line is. So they are the only two rules. Anything more than that, you know, a lot of these stations, they want you to tell you, well, you talk for 20 seconds here and then you do that, and it's just so formatted, and we can't be doing with anything like that. So I don't think I could ever do FM radio here, really. But along came internet radio, and here we are. I was doing the chat show. This is about this just a touch over 5 years old. It was 5 years old yesterday, this show. I was doing it as a chat show, started on a little internet radio station called CMP back in 2003, that was, and I did just a couple then, but then the station finished, and that was it, and I kind of let it go. But then I started doing podcasts, and really that's where it really started from. The chat show started from the podcast, and it's gone on, and this year it became live, and here we are. So we've moved quite a long way forward, you know. And from my chat show, myself and someone else, Ross, set up UnitedKingdomRadio.co.uk. All right, I had actually thought of this idea for a while, because I worked on another internet station called Play Radio, which was fantastic to work for. I worked for a guy called Tommy Boyd, very famous and top man, absolutely top man. Once you were kind of, how can I put this? Once you were in his gang, you had his full weight behind you. Fantastic bloke, really very, very nice man. And I went down there, the first time I met him, I went down to Arundel, which is where the station was, and met him, and we must have been just sitting there and chatting for an hour and a half. Not just about radio stuff, but about all sorts of things. And it was fantastic. What a nice man. What a really great bloke, and full of encouragement for you. Because I was a little bit nervous, that is. Now I was involved with lots of other people, you see. And they were kind of in charge of me, even though they said, right, Chris, do anything you want, push the boundaries if you want to, you can do anything you want. Right? Even so, there were sort of people over me. Do you see what I mean? So I was very nervous about that. But soon, gradually, very, very gently, Tommy pushed me. Okay? We started off with one hour show. And this went on for a while, and I remember him talking about going to 2 hours. And I said, I don't know if I could do 2 hours and all this. Okay. And then I think it was on Tuesday nights. And then one Tuesday, out of the blue in the afternoon, he rang up and says, I've got a bit of a problem. The show after you, he can't make tonight. Could you just for this once do the 2 hours? And I'm like, oh, blimey, Tom, do you think I could? Of course you can. Yeah, you can do 2 hours. Don't worry about it. Just do it. I said, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. So I did the 2 hours that day, and I kind of knew what he was doing anyway. He had intended me to do the 2 hours from that point onwards, but didn't say it. So, of course, I did the 2 hours. It went all right. And the next day he said, all right, how you going, Chris? He says, the 2 hours sounded all right to me. Do you want to do that from now then? So he kind of pushed me gently, but he was, I cannot praise that man enough. If you look round at some of the forums and that, there are plenty of people who run him down. Presumably they're jealous of the talent that the man's got. I don't know what it is, but they don't like him. I don't know why that is. But I tell you what, I have nothing but praise for that man. He was very, very nice. And then the whole Play Radio thing went a bit wrong. From what I can see, from my point of view, he was completely in the dark. And when he realised it wasn't coming back, he personally rang me and said, look, Chris, this is how it is. It's the same for all of us. It's all gone, mate. He said, really sorry. He said, I had no idea this was happening. But it's the same for me as well. But that's it. And that was the end of it. Now, at that point, as soon as I put that phone down from him, I thought to myself, there's now a gap. Because there were some fantastic people on that Play Radio. There was one bloke in particular on in the afternoons. I can't remember what his name was now. A guy called Matt Hollick, he was on there. Was the guy from the the National Front Party. There was a prostitute on there who would ring in and talk about her work and all this. And it was just a gathering of lots of people together doing their own thing. And I thought that there's just such a gap there. And the strange thing is, and a couple of weeks later, Ross rang me and says, I've got an idea. I said, go on. And he came out and I said to him, I said, do you know what? That is exactly what I've been thinking as well. I thought to myself, exactly what I've been thinking as well. And I said, and I'll tell you what, I've got a domain. He said, what's the domain? I said, I own UnitedKingdomRadio.co.uk. I said, I bought it a few years ago, knowing that it would come in useful one day, and now it is. Let's use that. So we did that, and we started off on the Ustream, and everything worked fine. It was just me and Ross, myself and Ross and I at first, and then I think Lee Mills was next, and then Paul Edwards joined us, and now there's quite a few of us all on here doing our own shows. Other stuff went on, and Ross has now left the station, and since then other things have happened. More people have joined us. We've got the schedule is coming along very, very slowly, but nevertheless it's coming along. What I envisaged was a non-offensive station built by a collection of different personalities. None of us here are the same. We don't try to be the same. We are ourselves. Okay? When I say we're ourselves, me, for example, what you're hearing and some of you seeing today really is me minus the warts. I remove the swearing or anything like that. Okay? Out in public, among friends, I've got a bit of a blue mouth, but I just think there's a time and a place for a blue mouth, and it's not on the radio or on the video stuff. That's it. That's how it is. I'm fortunate that I've got a little bit of spare money to spend, and I have been able to use this to improve the station in various ways. We now are picked up on Wi-Fi radios all over the place. I'm hoping to go on the Live 365 network as well. Last week I bought a brand new piece of software, and very, very kindly indeed, Terry Turner, who also does the show here on United Kingdom Radio on Friday nights between 8 and 9 o'clock with Travis Mitchell. He came around Thursday and set up all the automatic software, and the station is now almost fully automatic. It all happened very quickly, to be honest. I really didn't expect him to come Thursday and it to be up and running by Thursday night. However, it is, and everything's automatic, which means now if I go on holiday or something like that, I don't, no one has to actually be here and push buttons to bring people on and off. Now, next week, sort of from now, it may be a little bit bumpy in places. It may be that shows don't go on for some reason, or there's a little bit of a problem here, but that's because it is brand new, and I ask you to bear with us while all that is being sorted out. But so far, fingers crossed, so far so good. Tom Harris indeed will be on the new system later on. He'll be connecting, and it all happens automatically. I don't have to push any buttons or anything like that, and it's just brilliant. We now have the news on the hour every hour, very cheap as well. It's actually quite cheap. We found Terry. It was Terry who advised me. Actually, we found a company, FSN News, okay, that provide the news to little internet. Let's make no bones about this. This is a tiny little internet station. Okay, it's a tiny little internet station, and they provide the news for little internet stations like us, hospital radios, community things, for just £10 a month, which is just brilliant. Yes, though, it is another cost, and, there are certain costs involved in this station. There's the streaming. Now, what's the streaming? That's how we get the show to you. That has to be paid monthly, and there are a few other little bits and pieces. It's not hugely expensive, but yes, it does come out of my pocket. Okay, but that's okay. I'm kind of all right with that at the moment. Can we ever make money to be self-sustaining? I kind of doubt that. There are so many internet stations all over the world, and none of them seem to... I don't know any of them that are able to actually make money. Can I just have a little sip of my tea here? I don't know. By the way, I'm going to finish this. I've still got half of my birthday cup. I shall finish that actually with a cup of tea after I finish. While Tom Harris is on at 3:00. I don't know of any internet stations that are able to actually make money. Forget making money, and actually making money enough to cover the costs. The intention of setting up United Kingdom Radio was never to make loads of money. It was to, in my mind, provide a outlet for anyone who wants to have a go at talk radio. There's plenty of stations around on the internet that do music radio. There's not many talk ones for amateurs. I still class myself as an amateur. Other people would say I'm not. I do class myself as an amateur. However, I have an idea in my head about what I want to actually achieve. And that is to give people a chance to do it, but also to give the person at the other end, the person listening, to give them a group of people that they may or may not relate to. I very much doubt that you will like everyone on this station. I doubt that very much. You won't like everyone on this station, but I hope that you will find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 perhaps, whatever amount of people that you can actually relate to and will enjoy listening to. It was about setting up something to entertain, and that's how it is. All right, so we've got a collection of people here, all completely different personalities, all doing their bits and pieces, and I hope you like it. Anyway, boys and girls, that's my little radio story. 5 years old today, United Kingdom Talk. That's how I started, and that's where I am now. Would like to go a little bit further. Where do we go from here? I don't know. I mean, once the automatic stuff is all working, we could do with a few more presenters. Maybe you'd like to have a go at doing a live talk show. We've got another guy coming on soon who will be doing a Disney show. He'll be talking about all Disney type things that will be happening on a Sunday night soon. He's heavily into Disney and will tell you all about Disney type things. Okay? Right then, onward, boys and girls. Do you remember I said to you I was going to do a new job on Tuesday night in... Oh, by the way, you can call in now if you want to. Lines are now open. My Skype username is United Kingdom Radio. Okay, Skype in, United Kingdom Radio. If it's 22/4 on Saturday, the 2nd of October 2010, you can now Skype in. Skype is open. Skype username, United Kingdom Radio. Or you can call in as well, 020 3287 1488 020 3287 1488. If you're listening and watching to a recording outside of those times, you can still join in, of course, by email. My email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Now, do you remember I said to you I was going for a new Belushi's job in Greenwich? Okay, in southeast London. Now, that was supposed to start in a few weeks' time. But I said to them, I will have to come down and see what the route's like. So Tuesday, I left my house at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And there are two ways I can do this route. I can either go straight through London or around the M25. Now, if you go around the M25 to Greenwich, it's a good 70 miles. This is quite a bit of a distance, really. Through London, it's more like 35, 40. And the actual time difference probably wouldn't be that much, because the M25 is a road that goes around London, and it gets really busy at times. So I decided to go through London, and I left my house at 1 o'clock. Well, I mean, there was actually a particular area that I had to drive through to get to Greenwich, and that was my... That's my little birthday candle thing here. There's a certain area I had to drive through to get to Greenwich called Deptford. Now, has anyone ever been to Deptford? Oh dear, that is as rough as hell. I've seen some rough houses or rough places in my time, but Deptford has got to be one of the roughest places I've ever seen. They're all out there in their hooded tops, hanging around outside sweet shops. I was terrified, dear. Terrified. And I thought to myself, what's going to happen, you know, if they see me driving through this area with a car full of equipment? I mean, I could be carjacked, I could be dragged off to a bush, and terrible things could have happened to me. I think I'll drive through there again tonight, to be honest. Anyway, so I went for this area, Deptford, and then I carried on driving, and, you know, it got to 3:10. Now, this was on a Tuesday afternoon before the rush hour, but I had been held up in quite a lot of traffic while I'd been going there. Now, if it's like that on a Tuesday, let me tell you, Sunday afternoon, anytime Sunday sort of after 10 o'clock in the morning, will be a nightmare. And after being in the car for 2 hours and 10 minutes, I rung the lady who wanted me to do it. Her name's Michelle, a lovely lady who I've worked with before in other Belushi's branches. This was Belushi's in Greenwich, you see. I already do the karaoke in Belushi's in Hammersmith on Mondays and in Borough on Wednesdays. And they were asking me to do it on Sundays in Greenwich. And after being in the car for 2 hours and 10 minutes, I kind of picked up the phone, I pulled over, you have to be careful where you pull over as well, you know, because they've got cameras now everywhere. You can get nicked by a camera, you know, if you to stop the car in the wrong place, a camera will take a photograph. And the only thing you'll know about it is when the invoice arrives, or whatever it's called, the bill arrives sort of 2 weeks later. Which is just outrageous. I mean, it really is. Years ago, of course, there would be a traffic warden who would, you know, knock on your window. Hello, could you move along, please? You're not allowed to stop here. Fair enough, you know, I'll move. But the cameras doesn't allow you that. It takes your photo and you're done. And I just think that's wrong. Although, I have to say, the government we've got at the moment here in the UK, the Conservative Liberal coalition government, which I have to say I'm loving. They are getting stuff done. They seem to be doing certain things for the motorist. One of the things they're doing, and this was announced yesterday, is to remove the awful M4 bus lane. There is a bus lane on I mean, you've never heard anything so ridiculous in all your life. There is an M4 bus lane. And it's not just buses that can drive down there. Buses, coaches, motorbikes, but taxis. I never quite understand, why have taxis got these privileges of driving on bus lanes? I think that's unfair. Taxis should be on the main road the same as everyone else. Anyway, this government have decided to scrap, after 10 years, to scrap the very much hated M4 bus lane, which should allow the traffic to move a little bit faster into line. It's just ridiculous. It's just, I don't know, you know, why anyone thought of something like this. I just don't get it at all. I don't know. So that's the M4 bus lane. Also, it seems like a lot of speed cameras in various parts of the country are now being turned off. And I think what's happened since speed cameras, I honestly think they are dangerous as well as perhaps good in some places. Dangerous because people no longer worry too much about certain aspects of driving as long as their speed is right. And if you've got a camera coming up, let's take this example, for example, right? If there's a car in front of you, okay, and there's a camera coming up towards you, if you then look down at your speedometer, and you know how quickly this can happen, to check the speed, because you're so worried about the speed, in that time, the car in front of you could brake. And you look up, bang. And I'm sure there are incidents of this that has happened. I entirely agree with putting such cameras outside schools and perhaps before a zebra crossing. I agree with that. But putting them on places like main roads, dual carriageways, motorways, that sort of thing. And let's hope they turn off more of these speed cameras, because it's ludicrous. And, you know, I think there are many, many occasions where the pedestrian who has just been run over is entirely to blame themselves. How many times, as a motorist, I wonder how many times have you been driving along and had to slam on your brakes because some idiot has stepped out into the road and stared at you to stop? How many times has that happened? It's happened to me so many times. They just step out in the road and they don't rush across the road or anything like that. They just take their time and in their mind thinking he has to stop. Well, occasionally people don't stop. And occasionally people don't always see that happening. And I'm sure, I know that there are people who have terrible accidents, probably some who die, pedestrians who die, and it was entirely their fault. Same with cyclists. I like to think I'm a pretty good cyclist. If there's a cycle path, I will use it. I will stop at red lights. But there are cyclists, and I've seen in particular in London, right? In particular in London, there are cyclists who go straight through red lights all the time and time again. They squeeze through tiny little gaps. Tiny little gaps. We're just going to take a call in a minute. Simon, stay there, Simon. I'll be with you in a second. They squeeze through tiny little gaps between cars, which are about to turn left. And cyclists are hurt, and some die. But it's not always the motorist's fault. Absolutely not. Okay, let's take a call. Simon's on the Isle of Wight. Hello, Simon.
Hello, Simon. Hello, Chris. Do you realise I bestowed a very great honour on you today?
What honour have you bestowed? Do I need to get on my knees and have one of those swords placed on each shoulder and then on my head?
No, it's not quite as exciting as that. You are the first person in my 44 years of life that I've ever Skyped.
That you've ever what?
That I've ever Skyped. You Skyped.
Oh, really? Is this the first ever Skype, Simon?
It is. I'm so excited I could fall off the bed that I'm talking to you.
Congratulations. It's a wonderful little system. I don't know if you've got a webcam. I'm not asking you to send a webcam or anything, but...
No, not at the moment, no.
Well, get yourself a little webcam. And have you got family all over the place, Simon?
The technology's great, isn't it? You broke up a tiny bit then. Say again.
Sorry, mate. Have you got family all over the place?
I knew this would go horribly wrong. I hope you can hear me. You're a bit distorted, mate. Yeah.
Oh, we can't... you can't hear me, no?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Carry on, yeah.
Okay, have you got family all over the world?
It's such a shame. I've been watching you on video for the past few weeks, and this is all turning horribly wrong. This is live radio, isn't it?
Oh, let me see. What can I do about this? Let me see. I'll try that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're still quite broken up. But
I'll tell you what. I'll ring you back. That sometimes sorts it out.
Okay, then.
Right. Oh, yeah. Poor old Simon. Wow, exciting. I am his first ever Skype. There we go. Let's try again. Let's just give feedback on there. Poor. There we are. The other side could not hear me. There we are. Do that like that. Do that like that. Okay. Let's try them now. Back to the Isle of Wight. Oh, he may not. I just realised he may not know how to answer the calls yet. No, you sussed it out, haven't you? How's that, Simon? Is that any better?
Yeah, it's a tiny bit better.
Okay. Sometimes just by going and starting again, it kind of sorts it out for whatever reason.
Yeah, so I've only just started using it. Once you become like friends with someone, if you excuse the term, obviously you call each other for free. Otherwise, it's just like using a normal phone. It costs you money, doesn't it?
That's right. Have you been listening to the show, have you?
Yeah, I've been listening for a few weeks. I'm friends with you on Facebook, I think.
Oh, okay.
Got a link from that.
I know you are. I know you are now. Did you stop the Windows Media Player while you're talking to me on Skype?
Perhaps that's what the trouble is then.
Yeah, I think it is. You've got to stop however you're listening to the show. You're watching or listening or what?
Yeah, probably. I was talking on Facebook to Jeff Hobbs last night. I think you know him, don't you?
Jeff?
From RFTK Radio.
From where?
RFTK Radio.
Hang on, let's have a quick look at him. Jeff. Is it Jeff?
Jeff Hobbs, yeah. I think he used to run some of your shows on his internet station.
Let's have a look here. Jeff, 38 mutual friends. Yeah, that must be him. Has he got a little ribbon, has he?
Yeah. I'll tell you what. So
we know Jeff. We know Jeff. Yeah, we know Jeff. Yeah.
So I won't make a fool of myself for any longer. I'll phone you next week because I can always listen to the Saturday one. And I'll make sure I shut the media player down. But
okay, yeah.
Good luck to a good show, and it's been nice talking to you.
Yeah, that's why you're having trouble, Simon. You need to shut down that media player when you're making a Skype call. Otherwise, you've got too lots of sound coming at you.
That's what it is.
All
okay,
right.
then, Chris.
Thank you, Simon. Bye-bye now. Nice to talk to you. There we are. Little call coming in there from Simon. I was his first Skype. How wonderful is that? Now, don't forget, boys and girls, here on United Kingdom Radio at 4 o'clock, just after me, will be Tom Harris, live from Chicago in Illinois. Okay? Just going, one more little thing about the cyclists and people, you know, it's not always the driver who has the accident. But it is always him. It's not always his fault. It's always him or her that gets the blame. And it's hardly fair, is it? When you think about it. I know my best mate, Ron, he lives in sort of East Central, East London. And when I've been in the car with him, certainly at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, people going home, these cyclists are bad. I mean, they are bad. The way they go across this there's a roundabout in Old Street in the in that area, and it's just unbelievable how these cyclists go. It really is. So that's my thoughts on cars, and as I say, the government do appear to be getting a little lighter on us motorists, and I'm quite pleased about that. Anyway, boys and girls, don't forget the email, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk is my email address, okay? chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. What else have I got to tell you? Oh, what's the time? We only got 3 minutes left. I'll tell you what, I've had a letter come in, boys and girls. You can write a letter. We've got a mailing address which I'll give to you if we've got enough time after I've read you the letter. And it's quite a lot of writing here from the lovely Kath in Wales, who sends me the most wonderful cards with pictures on the front and all that sort of thing. You can send in a letter if you want to. I don't think I'm going to have time to read you the address though. Who says, "Hi Chris, nice to see you back on United Kingdom Talk. Glad to hear you had a lovely break, but you've been missed." Yes, I was away for a little while. That's going back a couple of months now though. She says, "It's a shame you didn't put your CDs onto a Brennan before." What's a Brennan? Oh, before they were put onto eBay. These Brennans, what is a Brennan, are small enough to be carried in one hand, but can take hundreds of CDs. Do you mean MP3 players, my darling? I've never heard that expression, a Brennan. Never heard that before. She says, "If you haven't heard of a Brennan, as there is a new product, you can get information on them on the net." Or Mikey Holt, I bet he's heard of them. Oh, Mikey Holt knows everything there is to know about technology. He absolutely does. He's very, very useful, Mikey Holt. She says, keep a lookout in Aldi in the next few months. Very often they have telescopes on their specials in time for Christmas. Yeah, Aldi, as you know, boys and girls, I'm not a fan of that particular supermarket. However, it's true, they do have some very good offers in there sometimes. She says, not too bad a price as they pack away into their own carry case. I think you can get telescopes that can lock onto a star and follow it around in the sky. Portable as well. Oh, really? Well, that's a bit clever, isn't it? I don't know if I'd be able to work such a thing, to be honest, Kath. She says, I'll be closing for now. Nice to hear your patter back. Love from Kath. God bless her. Thank you very much for that, Kath. And she sends a wonderful little card here. Now, the address, if you want to put pen to paper and send anything in, you can do so, is Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, RG429ED, United Kingdom. Once again, Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Radio, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, RG429ED, United Kingdom. Okay? Thanks so much, boys and girls. That's it from me today. Coming up for you at 4 o'clock, just after the 4 o'clock news, hopefully, is Mr. Tom Harris. I'll see you again on Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock UK time, and Thursday morning at 11 o'clock UK time, and next Saturday again at 3 o'clock in the afternoon UK time. Have a good afternoon. Thanks for watching and listening.